Nowadays, capitalists are corrupting math. They're even making up fake numbers to quantify their national debt. I mean, come on, what is this? This isn't even a real number. But in reality, math has always been communist. It has been communist since the days of Pythagoras. As our glorious leader once said, algebra is a lot like communism. You can add or subtract anyone you want from the equation, as long as you keep everything equal. The commutative property, a staple of communism, states that you can reorganize your comrades any way you want. Stalin plus Lenin is still equal to Lenin plus Stalin. Doesn't matter the order. The redistributive property states that when item enters Soviet Union, these parentheses being multiplied, you have to multiply it by both comrades equally to equally distribute it. The associative property states that we're all comrades here, and you can associate us in any way you want. See, B and C are associated together right now, but A and B could be associated. Because after all, none of us are dirty capitalist spies. You can associate with any of us. Now we can use these properties to solve one of the most common problems to communism. How can you redistribute to x if you don't even know what the x is? See, when x is on one side, it is easy. You know x is 2. But when x is like this, how do you know what x is? This is why we must work to get it on one side. But this rarely happens without us working first. Karl Marx wrote, nature does not produce on one side owners of variables or unknowns, and on the other men possessing nothing but their own constants. This relation has no natural basis. Neither is its social basis one that is common to all historical periods. Imagine a path to communism or a path to capitalism. If you go going up gets you to capitalism, to get to communism, you want to go down. If adding 3, squaring, and dividing by 5, and then multiplying by 4 gets you to capitalism, you want to do the opposite. You want to divide by 4, multiply by 5, square root, and then subtract 3. And then x will be on its own, as communism always intended. We can also use these techniques to solve inequalities. Karl Marx wrote extensively about how to solve inequalities, so we won't talk about it here. Instead, I would like to move on to trigonometry. Here, we have our own unit called the comradian. The comradian is a unit defined so that the angle and the arc length are equal. This means there are 2 pi comradians in a circle. We believe that everyone should get an equal size of pi regardless of the circumference of their labor, no matter how irrational it sounds. We also have 3 new operations showing the relation of the 3 sides of the triangle, the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent. Sine is the opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. These relations can be remembered with the acronym State-Owned Harvest. Comrades are happy, toiling over agriculture. Now, in the unit circle, the hypotenuse is 1, and sine is y, or the rise, and cos is x, or the run. I like to remember this with the statement that this is a sign showing why you should be a communist. 'Cause if you aren't, you better run.